Welcome to Superhost Down Under. This is episode 54. This week we have Elena on the show. Welcome to the show, Elena.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Elena.
And before we jump into your story, we will talk about the weekly topic. Silvia, what's our weekly topic for this week?
Well, I wanted to tell the story of a guest experience for one of my friends who is a superhost. So you've got to picture this. It's New Year's Eve in Sydney. And she's got a guest checking in at about 5 o'clock and she's doing a meet and greet. This guest has a disability and is in a wheelchair. So my friend goes over there to let him in, him and his wife, and it all works, you know, with the wheelchair and access and everything like that, until he gets to the bedroom. And he looks at the bed and he says, "This is a problem. I won't be able to get up off the bed. I can get into the bed, but not lift myself up out of the bed." So again, it's New Year's Eve, about 5 o'clock, and my friend has to start thinking outside the box. And she's now putting aside all her plans for the evening, and she's got to find a way of lifting the bed for him. And so she knows that there's a building site nearby, and she goes to that building site looking for bricks. She's very lucky. She finds bricks. She brings them back to the Airbnb property, and her and the wife, the guest, put 2 bricks on all 4 corners of the bed. And it lifts the bed. It works. He can get onto the bed, off the bed. And I mean, you know, it took a bit of time, but that's manageable. So she takes a deep sigh of relief, and then he says, "Oh, our phone isn't working here, and we need to call a cab to take us to the fireworks." You know, obviously a cab that can take a wheelchair. So she's arranging that for them. And then finally she gets away and is able to do what she had planned for the evening. Then a few days later, and I'm hearing from her all along that there's phone calls that she's having to make for them because they can't make phone calls. Anyway, she's very service orientated with them, which really speaks highly of her. And then he contacts her and says, "My wheelchair has a puncture and I need to get to the cricket and I can't." And I've rung around because by then it was sort of early Jan, like, you know, say 2nd or 3rd of Jan. And he says, "And I've rung around the cycle shops and some aren't open, some can't fix it for me." So she says, "Let me call." So she's ringing around finding a bicycle shop that will fix the puncture in his tyre. And she finds one. So then she organises the cab to take him and the wheelchair across to this bicycle shop, who apparently do a Band-Aid fix on it because they can't do a proper fix. He's going to do that when he goes back home to London. So that's fine. Off they go to the cricket, him and his wife. They're at the cricket. She gets another phone call from him. He left his glasses at the bicycle shop. So then she gets in her car and drives across to the bicycle shop, takes a photo. "Are these them?" "Yes." "Okay." Takes them to the accommodation. And this keeps going, and she's making phone calls. Finally, they're leaving. It's the day of checkout. She has to book their taxi to the airport, and she's been updating me all along. And I thought to myself, wow, I bet you're glad they've packed up and gone. And so, you know, when I reflected back on everything she did, what an amazing superhost she is. And I think of myself, and I'm service orientated too, but I just find it incredible how much she did for them, and she did it with joy. Like she's the type of person who loves to help. So for her, it was like, helping someone. But I'm just wondering, how much are we obligated to do as hosts? Did she go beyond what she had to do? I think so. But what do you and Ray and Eleanor think?
Well, I would say definitely well beyond. But I also noticed that as hosts, we have one common trait. We are givers. Like we
Yes,
actually enjoy helping people, and kind of one of our love languages, if you know what I mean, is
yes,
acts of service. um, it's kind of funny, but it does make you feel better when you give rather than
yes.
so I'm sure she was very happy that she could solve all this, and I hope she got a 5-star review. Probably should have been
Well,
10-star.
interesting you should bring that up, Eleanor. She did not get a review at all.
Oh,
However, they did show their appreciation. They bought her a beautiful, expensive bottle of champagne that they left with a lovely card, beautiful words, and they left her $100,
oh wow.
which was really, really sweet. And I think you've put it in a nutshell. She really enjoyed being the one that could help them. Like I could see she was getting joy out of knowing that she was taking care of them, because maybe another host wouldn't go to the extent that she did. But yeah, but then they didn't write a review. But I suppose reviews aren't everything, and they obviously show their appreciation of her efforts.
I guess it depends how they asked as well. They could have kind of demanded and expected it to happen, or they could have been very apologetic and kind of she
Grateful.
wanted to support them as much as she could. Yeah. So
Mm. I would have never thought of the brick solution, putting the bricks under the bed. I just wouldn't.
yeah, it's very
And
resourceful.
yes, and especially on New Year's Eve, when she puts aside her own plans. The other thing too that concerned her is, if she didn't find a solution, I mean, in Sydney, New Year's Eve is the number one night, and accommodation is booked even a year in advance. It gets booked months in advance. So it would be very unlikely that they could have found other accommodation that night at 5 p.m. When the fireworks, were going to be happening in a few hours. So that's why in her mind, she just went, I have to fix this for him, which was a lovely gesture. What do you think, Ray?
Well, it's interesting when you talk about using the bricks to prop up a bed. I have sleep apnea. In fact, like I'm having surgery in like a month and a half.
Oh,
But one of the things for sleep apnea is like propping up a bed. So I actually had to get little blocks from Bunnings, so that I have a sleeping on a slight decline, so that like it just helps me with my breathing. With my so I'm used to propping up my bed. I
you
think
would have thought of that.
yeah, I would have bricks already. I would have little things to lend them.
But only on one side, right?
I have two. Yeah, I only have two, so it's on a slant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have enough. I think it's really challenging, and I think we can only do our best in those moments. I think what we like, hopefully, what our guests are reasonable people who know that we're trying our best. But I think I think that was above and beyond what I would do to help a guest.
Me
I would
too.
not. Yes, and I think I probably would have routed more towards contacting Airbnb and seeing how they could support like a move out, or like them finding more comfortable accommodation. it is like a very stressful time or like a very like busy period, so it's difficult. But maybe the guests would be happier in a place that was wheelchair accessible, or like in a place that like had
Did she
more.
not know that they had disabilities, or?
Yes, and the property was suitable for someone with disability. The only problem was the bed; it was too low. But no one thought of that. Like, no one thought
Yeah.
that would be an issue. And he didn't, when he booked, he didn't ask about the height of the bed. So the
Yeah.
property itself was fine. It was just the bed
Just
that
the
was too
bed.
low, because he said that because he's a paraplegic, and he
Mm.
said that he could get onto the bed, but he couldn't get up out of the bed. Well, I mean, who's going to think of all of this, you know? So,
Yes.
and I asked her, did the photos of the property show the bed so that you could see that it was a low bed? And she said yes. So if it didn't occur to him, who was it going, you know, who was going
Exactly.
to?
I feel like it's on the guest's plate to know what your needs are. Like, I need a bed of certain height. Like, I need a bed that's on a slant. So, yeah, I think those are important things to ask for. So,
Requesting that when you're
no, I bring my own. I bring my own blocks.
That's the way.
That decline.
You
Bring
bring
your own
you
blocks.
you bring your own blocks.
Yeah. I used to. Like, if I'm staying at our friend's house long enough, I'll bring my own blocks. But luckily, there's other solutions for it. Well, let's get into your story, Elena. Tell us how you got into Airbnb. What drew you to get started?
It's a long story, but I started a while ago, and it probably was when Airbnb first came to Australia, so over 13 years ago. And I always liked the idea of sharing economy. I don't mind secondhand clothes. I like house swapping, and so Airbnb was kind of, oh, that's an interesting idea. We're going away for 3 weeks. I don't like the idea of our home sitting empty. Why don't we try that? So we did it. It was obviously much easier back then. Just take a few photos, chuck them on Airbnb, and kind of clean the house yourself and hope for the best. And it worked. Then we traveled quite a bit. So we did it a few times and kind of took a break for a few years. And then COVID happened. And after COVID, the interest rates were going up. And I thought, well, what are the ways that we can make a little bit of extra income? Because both my husband and I, we worked full time in a corporate job. So we couldn't get another job. And we had this guest room with a separate bathroom sitting empty, which we never used. It was just like a storage room full of storage stuff. And I cleaned it out, did a bit of painting, furnished it, styled it, and put it on Airbnb again. So we hosted at our home, at the family home, and I really enjoyed the process. And I liked meeting people, talking to them, and everyone has a story. My family didn't really like it. They thought it was a bit too much of kind of privacy invasion. You know, I have teenage children, and yeah, they said, no, this is gonna stop.
Oh, wow.
But we also have a granny flat at the back, and it was always rented on a long-term basis. And then our tenant was moving out, and then I thought, well, why don't I try and Airbnb that as well? And my friends were saying, who would want to come to Forestville, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere? It's not close to the beach. It's there's it's a really suburban suburb.
Yeah, it's
And
northern Sydney suburb, isn't it?
yeah, so it's a very leafy, very family friendly suburb, but it's not like a massive attraction for people to visit around. And I just said, well, I'll give it a go anyway. And I really enjoyed the process of picking the colors and renovating. And it turned out like a really cute little studio. And it has been really successful from day one. So we got consistent bookings. And then I started learning about all the different hosting, what has changed. I've never heard about dynamic pricing before. Like when I did Airbnb,
Yeah.
I didn't know about channel managers or any like automation, nothing. It was all done
multi-platform.
old school kind of manual type of thing. And then while I was learning, I was like, well, I really enjoy this kind of hospitality and hosting. How can I manage more without having to buy another property?
Mm-hmm.
And then a friend asked me to look after their place while they were away.
Mm-hmm.
And so the word kind of spread, and I got a few other listings under my, well, I was a co-host back then. Then it kind of grew into a business, and at some point I decided to leave my full-time job and do this full-time.
Mm-hmm.
So I did
and
full-time job and kind of trying to do property management at the same time for a while, but it was very challenging.
And your business is My Perfect Host?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So it's My Perfect Host. Nothing is perfect. And I'd like to say I'm perfectly imperfect. So yes.
Can I ask, Elena, when your friend said, "Oh, who would want to stay in Forestville?" I had a friend who had a family home in Preston's, and she got the same, statements put to her. And she asked me, and I said, "Well, just see what happens when you start it up." And she did, and like you, she's had bookings the whole time, and what she had were people, people coming to stay who had family in the area but couldn't stay in their homes. She had tradespeople coming to stay who were doing work nearby. She had insurance, people who had an insurance claim and their places were being renovated, families, and they would come and stay. Did you find it was similar to that in Forestville, or what type of?
Very similar. I get a lot of grandparents visiting from overseas, and there's not enough room for them, or they don't want to stay with their families. I had one guest who booked for 12 weeks from Monday to Thursday because he was living in Melbourne and he would come from Monday to Thursday to Sydney for work. So
and his work was nearby?
Yeah, so there's not enough accommodation in our area. And there's a big hospital nearby. So I had a few times when people had to kind of be with someone at the hospital not too far away. Yeah, so mainly different reasons, not that many tourists, but we get occasional tourists as well.
And so now you've grown it to 22 properties that you manage.
More or less. That number varies just because sometimes I look after properties that are part-time. So when people are away, at some point I was managing 47 properties, but that was partnering with another similar company. So that was big learning curve for me.
What was it like growing the portfolio? Talk us through, you said a friend asked you to manage theirs.
Mm.
Was it all through word of mouth? Did you do some social media ads? Were you listing Airbnb? How did you grow from 2 to like 22?
Yes. So mainly it is word of mouth, and I guess owners, when they are happy, they share with their network.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a website, and I tried running some Facebook ads as well, and I'm also part of the Airbnb co-hosting platform. So some inquiries come through that, but mainly it's from someone who heard about me from someone they knew or know. Yeah.
And what criteria do you have for clients who want you to manage their property? Is it you just take on anything, or do you have very
No.
strict criteria?
I used to get so excited that someone is interested in my services. So,
Yeah, I know this feeling.
but I learned it pretty quickly that it is kind
It's
of
not
a
good for
two-way
anyone.
street. Yeah, so it
Mhm.
has to be a good match. There are good owners, there are not such good owners, and also properties as well. There are better properties and not such good properties. So I would, I actually interview them as much as they interview
Interview
me.
you.
And it is kind of a partnership, even if they don't want to be involved at all. Issues come up, and it's dealing with properties and people, and you have to kind of get the feeling, are they going to be painful when a maintenance issue happens, or
Mhm.
are they going to be actually understanding and supportive? So guests, like, there are different guests, and some guests are challenging in some way. And how will this owner react if a guest is complaining or demanding a refund or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
And
try not to take on anything under 6 months anymore, just because there's so much work and effort that goes into setting up the listing. And I always tell the owners it takes time to get traction. You cannot expect it to work straight away and have the rates that they would like to have from the very start.
yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned about setting up minimum 6 months. What goes on in your setup process and things that you put in place so operationally you can manage this portfolio?
You mean the technology side of things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just
So,
processes also.
well, I do have a setup process for each property, which involves a really detailed listing description and good photos. So professional photography is non-negotiable. If an owner says, "Oh, but I don't want to spend money," I'm like, "No, you have to." Photos are the single thing that people see. Some people don't even read anything in the
First
description. They just see
impressions,
the
I call
photos.
it.
Yeah. And I mean, it has to be accurate. It cannot be real estate type of huge room, and then people arrive, they feel disappointed. It's too small. So it has to be Airbnb kind of relevant.
Yeah.
And then in terms of systems and processes, so I have channel manager, which helps. It's kind of a central point of managing all the properties, all the communication. And then I have dynamic pricing connected to my property management software, cleaning, scheduling software as well, because I used to have Excel spreadsheets, and it would give me a lot of anxiety. What if I missed the clean, or what if the date was wrong? So now it's all automated. If a booking is made, the cleaner get notified straight away. They accept, or another cleaner accepts. So that helps from operations point of view. And I use quite a few automated messages for like check-in instructions. And let's say if a property has rubbish bins, if it's a residential house and the bin night is Wednesday, then they get a message straight away. I don't have to think about it. It's already in the system. They get a reminder, please take the bins out. Reminder about checkout time, because some people don't know what the checkout time is. Or to put the keys back in the lockbox if it's lockbox situation. A lot of people don't even kind of remember the codes, so it's always good to kind of remind me, oh, by the way, the code is this. Yeah, just to make their life easier. And I hear what people say about over communicating.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it to a minimum, but kind of the bare minimum.
I recently had one guest complain about the number of messages and the length of the messages informing them. And I think since then I've reviewed our scheduled messages like post check-in as you're approaching the booking for check-in. And it's such a balance because some people don't read their messages. And so you kind of need to send them like on a schedule. And then some people read every message. So like they get annoyed if they see anything that's repeated. So I'm trying to test somewhere in the middle.
I always find it really interesting when we travel as guests, and then it's such a no, it's like just last week a friend and I, we went to Jarvis Bay, and the message, she made the booking, and I looked at the messages, and the message is like 2 kilometers long with code of conduct and something like mentioning all these different things. I'm like, this is unnecessary. Like, why would you put it in the Airbnb message? And then when we did ask about a late checkout the day before, nothing. No one even responded anything, and like, so we checked out at our a great time, but there was no response whatsoever.
And for you, what's the end goal now that you're like went from 1 to like 20 plus properties? Is your goal to get to 50 to 100? Do you want to sell it? What's in store for you in the next couple of years?
It's a good question.
What is your why?
My why? I do have properties a little bit, well, I don't want to say all over the place, but they are not centralized. So I have properties in Hunter Valley, in Central Coast, in Sydney. I realized that from operations point of view, it's much easier to actually focus on one certain area. And my goal is to get more properties in the northern beaches. And I think it makes sense because it's a great area. I love Sydney, but it's one of the best parts of Sydney as well.
I used to live there. I lived in Manly.
Well, Manly is my favorite part of the northern beaches. And actually, I learned it by getting a property there, which is a simple 2-bedroom apartment, but it just gets booked all the time, and it has great rates. It's not luxury or premium or anything. It's quite basic property, but the people who come and stay, because there's so much to do in Manly, they just love it, and they leave great reviews. The property is clean and maintained and everything, but they just love the area and the experience, and that gives me a lot of good energy. And I love hosting these stays rather than kind of transactional. Yeah, so Manly is one of my areas. I actually was there this morning. I was like, oh, that would be nice to get a place in this building.
And how are you promoting the properties beyond Airbnb? Since you mentioned like multi-channel, you have a channel manager. I'm on multi-channel as of like last month. So if you're booking my property, go to like my website,
Nice.
raymanyu.com.au. You can book directly.
You did that because I listened to an interview with Meredith before, and she was encouraging you to do it.
It's live for everyone listening. Like tens of thousands of people who listen to us.
Nice.
raymanyu.com.au. You can look at the properties and you can book directly and save yourself some money.
And you as well.
So, yeah, exactly. Everyone wins.
Yeah.
But how do you market it? I market it on this podcast, also on my social media, on my website. I've never paid for any ads before, but what do you do in terms of marketing?
I list on all key channels, so booking.com, stays, VRBO, and I guess Airbnb is still the biggest player and the biggest OTA, but I see that booking.com is growing, and for some type of properties I actually get only booking.com bookings, and very occasionally Airbnb. In terms of direct bookings, I love the idea, and it took me a while to accept the fact that I won't see the reviews, and you know, I put some systems in place as well. So I use a software that screens the guest, and they get an option either to pay damage deposit or a waiver. And
what's the software?
It's called Truvi. It used to be called Superhog before, and then they renamed it as Truvi. Some people don't like because of the identity, kind of personal privacy reasons, but maybe 95% are fine with that, and it's just part, like it explains it in the message. It also has it in the listing as well, that because we do self check-in, it's part of our safety and security process to screen the guests. And back to your question, how do I promote direct bookings? So I started with my own place just to test how it goes, and I printed some business cards which have a QR code and say book direct and save, like, I think I give $50 off or something, not even percentage. And they can scan and they can use a special code, and that way it's primarily targeting repeat guests, which is good. So you can see if they've been good guests or not. And yeah, if people reach out on Airbnb asking for a discount or is there any way to save, I think it's unethical to direct them off the platform.
Oh, of course, no. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do that. But if they find me on the website or if they scan the QR code, then I don't have any issues.
I always use the same photos. So if someone's taking an image and they're searching it on Google, they can find like all the channels in my listing. So like this,
and the name probably as well.
And the name, yes,
yeah,
it's a very good tip.
Yeah, I've done
also,
it myself.
Also the hosted the name of the property, but also the name of the account. So like my co-host has like Lane Stays, and so if you search Lane Stays, you'll find their website, and then that will have their Guestly booking link, and then you book directly, but you see all their properties. But I've noticed that
I think people are getting much more savvy how they book, and I get a lot. we saw your listing, but then we searched up and booking.com was cheaper, so we booked through booking.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Um, but
Yes.
I do the same. We're
When
going
you
to
travel.
Bali soon, and I was searching for these villas, and yes, the price differs quite a lot across different platforms. So
For sure.
yeah.
Those are all the questions I had for you. Silvia, did you have any other questions?
Well, Eleanor, I was interested in the book that you co-authored,
Oh yeah.
Hospitable Hosts. What can you
Yes.
tell us about that?
It's a great book. You should read it.
On Amazon, right?
Yes, but yeah, so how I knew about the book and how I got involved,
Yes.
I actually created a platform a few years ago, because back then there was no co-hosting through Airbnb. So I thought, well, how people are meant to find co-hosts, and I launched the website, which is called, you can look it up, myperfecthost.com. That's it, .com. And the idea was to connect people who need help with people who can offer that help. So, and then I was adding some resources, and one of the sections was books about hosting an Airbnb. And I found all these books, and I thought, well, I should read them before I kind of recommend them to anyone. And that's how I came across Hospitable Hosts 1, the original one. And then I actually met all these people who are in the book. And the author, her name is Jody, and she's amazing. You should talk to her. She loves connecting with new people, and I'm happy to introduce you. She's a good friend of mine, and then Jody was looking for people who were interested in volume 3, and yeah, I put my hand up, and yeah, that's that's how I got involved.
So you co-authored volume 3.
Yes, it's well, there are 40 chapters in the book, and each chapter is written by a host, and they share how they like about their hosting
their
experience.
experiences.
They don't have to be property managers or have multiple listings. It's mostly about hosting and hospitality aspect of it.
And do you find that you're working 7 days a week?
24/7. I always say
Going
that I
above
was
and beyond.
so keen to leave my 9-to-5 job to to start working 24/7.
I also thought I looked at your website and I thought it was a very interesting concept because you offer 3 ways of hosting. So you can do all of it for the client, so you manage all of it, or you will become the tenant, and then they get a rent every week, and then you put it as a short-term rental, and you get the rest of the income, or you set it up for them, and then they can go on their merry way with short-term rentals. So I love that concept that you offer all 3. Do you tend to find that some go for one more than the other, or what works best out there?
I think again depends what level of support someone needs. I enjoy helping people kind of achieve their goals, and for example, I have an owner who never kind of thought about Airbnb, and then someone told them about the idea, so they reached out to me, and they travel now, and they were not able to do it before. So I like kind of getting to know the person first and what they need. Personally, I like the arbitrage model. I find it very hard to find the right property in Sydney just because the rents are so high. I think it used to work previously much better. Now rents have gone up a lot, and the difference between long term and short term is getting smaller. And in terms of setting up someone else's listing, I can show, like I've done it for a few people, because it can go really wrong if you do it the wrong way.
Yes.
So you have to know which kind of settings to tick, and the instant booking instead of I had stories when people thought they had by request, but it was instantly booked, and they got the booking and the place wasn't ready and they were not even there, and anyway. Yeah, so
Do you also assist them with furniture styling, or is it just the listing itself on the platform?
So the listing, it is a free service for a host, but I use my referral link. That way I actually get paid by Airbnb.
Yes, that makes sense.
If they want to style or furnish the place, I can do it because I have some partnerships with stylists and furniture providers, but it will be at extra cost as well.
Excellent. Silvia, did you have any other questions?
No, but I love your business model, Elena. I really do. It covers everything. Yeah. And I imagine you developed it organically. Would that be right?
Yeah, it kind of just evolved by itself, and I like to keep it that way. My goal is not to scale to 100 properties. I would like to get more properties in my area, and I mean, I hear stories about people building up and selling, which is very enticing, but my money is not the main driver for me. It's more, in Australia, so many people are asset rich and cash poor, and just kind of showing them that they can use their assets in a safe way, where the property will be properly looked after, the guests will be great, and they can switch off and go away. I think that's kind of like my passion, my why.
Yeah.
And especially older people. Well, I'm quite tech savvy, so I like technology. I like automation. I always listen to all the new things that come out, and I enjoy this aspect, but I can imagine it can be really overwhelming for someone who is not in it.
Yes.
Excellent. Elena, was there anything else that you wanted to mention that we haven't covered?
No, it was great chat. I mean, we can talk forever about hosting.
Yes.
And I get complaints from my husband that, can you do something else? I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Elena, for your time and for telling us your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure to meet you both.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.